Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday, September 29th, and we're gearing up for another exciting match of LCBI Esports. LCBI, we would see Jesus. As we get ready for tonight's matchup, I'll quickly go over the rules. So let's break down the roles you're going to see on the battlefield tonight for any new viewers. So first off, you start off with the tank role. The tank are the big guns up front. Tank takes the hits, holds the line, and clears the way for their teammates. They're the shield and the spear all at once. The next role is damage, or DPS. These are the playmakers, the sharpshooters, the brawlers, the ones who rack up eliminations and break defenses wide open. If you want highlight reel moments, you're going to watch the DPS. And finally, we have the support, the unsung heroes. They keep the teams alive, powered up, and in fighting shape. Without strong supports, no team survives long in Overwatch. Together, these three roles form the backbone of every squad. The delicate balance of strength, firepower, and strategy. And tonight, you'll see just how important that balance is. So, with Overwatch 2, the game modes in the Play vs League, we start off with the game type control. So both teams brawl over a single objective, win 2 out of the 3 rounds to claim the map. The next is going to be hybrid. Step 1, capture a point. Step 2, turn that point into a payload and escort it to victory. And Step 3, one team pushes a payload through checkpoints, the other team tries to stop them in their attacks. Next we have push. Teams fight to control a robot in the center, then push it as far as possible into an enemy territory. And finally we have Flashpoint, the newest addition. Multiple control points unlock 1 at a time. Capture 3 before your opponent to secure the win. So those are going to be the 5 game modes as we go on to tonight's match. So tonight, the LCBI Bisons from Outlook, Saskatchewan are currently ranked 4th in the league at 1-0, and they're going to be playing against the RV Ridgeville Ravenwatch from Oregon, United States. They also are 1-0. However, they're ranked 9th. So it's going to be actually a really weird matchup tonight because we see that our 4th spot is due to the fact that last week's team, as you our regular viewers will note, didn't show up for the game, which was a forfeit. So our 4th spot is due to the fact that, we just didn't play anybody. It was an automatic win. We have no points scored against us. So it might be a relatively biased ranking, and this could result in us playing some very skilled teams right off the get-go here. But for tonight's player list, our roster for this evening, we're going to start off with a tank role. We have Peter Haberstock. Peter's a grade 11 student, and his gamer tag is NeoHawk. We have seen Peter play a couple of times already this season, a little bit preseason. Next, we have our DPS, or damage. We have Christopher Summick, grade 11. Gamer tag CPlayGames. And then we have grade 12 student Evan Chang as our other damage. Evan's gamer tag is Aquamarine. Finally, we're going to go down to our support players. So returning as her starting role, we have grade 11 student Randy Anderson, gamer tag Skyfire, and we have Caleb Turton, grade 12, gamer tag Star Trek fan. So exciting lineup. I know one thing we were really emphasizing last week was using alts in a timely manner. I mean, alts or ultimates are special attacks that are unique to each character. Obviously, in some cases, if you're a support character, they offer huge buffs to your team or revive them to life. If they're damage players or DPS, then they do lots of damage. So We did have a bad habit of sitting on those and not utilizing them as much as we could, because you'll notice that timer at the bottom, or the percentage at the bottom. Uh, it takes a while to get up to 100, but once it gets up to 100, the longer you sit on it, the less alts you can use in a single game mode. And there were some Bisons that didn't use any alts in a game. They're waiting for that specific moment. And unfortunately, it didn't. They weren't allowed to, or they didn't. Not that they weren't allowed to. They just didn't get. They didn't use it, and so they had an alt, and they didn't even use it at all, which is a huge disadvantage, especially if you're looking at strategy within a game, and you can see when the enemy team would make a move. Usually, it's led by an alt, right? So we'll take a look and see how the Bisons use their ultimate attacks throughout this game mode. But we are now teamed up. The opposing team came. I'm being told by the Bison's coach, Brian, that the other team is going to be hosting. So all our players have to do is show up and get into the action. All the admin stuff and all the hosting responsibilities on the other team. So stay tuned. When our first game comes up, it'll be a control map. I'll come back and join you guys, and we'll get right into the action. So until then, stay tuned. looks like we're about to jump into the game. So just a reminder that the first game mode we're going to be playing is Control. Both teams brawl over a single objective. Win 2 out of the 3 rounds to claim the map. So the different players are assembling their heroes, picking their characters. Again, we have our predetermined roles that each team or each player is going to be filling. So just a reminder, we have Peter Haberstock, grade 11 student, as tank under Neohawk. We have Christopher Summick and Evan Chang as our damage players. Gamertag Seat Play Games and Aquamarine. And then we have Randy Anderson and Caleb Turden, both playing supports. Randy being Skyfire and Caleb being Star Trek fan. All right, so we're currently watching Neohawk. That is Peter Haberstock. He's new to the LCBI Esports program. Gate's about to drop. Let's keep an eye on Peter, actually, and we can see how Peter is doing. All right, so we're reaching up to the objective. Now remember, the objective isn't capturable for another 16 seconds. You can see that at the timer on the top of the screen. But you still want to try and get in there and set up a good defensive position. Already, we have Oregon Ravenwatch, the Oregon Ravenwatch, setting up a relatively good defense, keeping the Bisons out of there. And they're getting a quick capture. All right, looks like we're trying to flank the enemy and catching the Oregon team off a little bit, but you know, we have to kind of pair that surprise attack, and you need the rest of your team to get in there and take advantage of the chaos you're doing. What we have here Neohawk doing is trying to isolate some of the Oregon players so that, you know, the other team is, you know, again, if you can turn this into a 4v5, you know, you have the advantage. So that's what we're kind of trying to do. We see them getting a little bit too, I guess, aggressive, and we're trying to isolate them. Now we can see this where Oregon's pushing our tank, trying to isolate him from the rest of the Bisons. Looks like he fell into one of Junkrat's traps. All right, looks like the Bisons took out one of Oregon's players. It is now a 5 versus 4 until that player respawns. Bison's on the objective. Looks like Star Trek fan Caleb Turden is capping the objective. Relatively good push there. I like that. Christopher Summick, the tank, pushed forward and just kind of said, we're not going to fight on top of the objective. I want to try and like push the front. But an impressive offense from Oregon, pushing the Bisons out of the objective. Looks like we lost Star Trek fan, actually. Lost our tank, not great. So this is very quickly, yes, is a team wipe. All right, so we have Star Trek fan, the last surviving one. We're going to wait for the Bisons to respawn here before we all push in. You definitely want to wait for your team to be at full strength. But again, I mean, that objective percentage is going up. Oregon's currently at 76%. Bisons don't have long to get in there. Looks like Star Trek fan has an ult. We have Aquamarine has an ult. This is where they should be communicating with their support players, saying, keep me alive, I'm going to use my ult. And looks like Aquamarine got taken out. The entire team got taken out. Yikes, again, we don't want to see that. 4 out of the 5 LCBI Bison players had ults they were sitting on. That means they waited to use them, and they lost anyway. We don't want to see that again. How you want that ideally to look is you want somebody to say, hey, I have an ult. Support, keep me alive. DPS, keep me alive. Get them into a position where they can fully take advantage of the ult and then use it. So this is where that coordination kind of comes in, and the Bisons are going to have to be coordinating with each other. I know Aquamarine's ult can be quite devastating. So next time they get that ult, then they have to communicate with the team saying, guys, keep me alive, I'm going to use my ult. and especially during that round because there were so many. It was a wide open space. Could have done some serious damage. Bisons weren't able to pull it off. All right, so let's take a. We're gonna keep an eye on Aquamarine and see how they're doing. Looks like the Bisons are caught at a choke point right now, trying to push forward. We've got our tank up there. Aquamarine. Now remember, Aquamarine, Evan Chang, does not have a lot of health, so they gotta watch out. They can't be in the action too much. Oh, Christopher Summick, the LCBI Bison tank, just got pushed into the pit. Okay, and looks like we are team wiped. Oh no, we got Christopher Summick. Trying to keep the enemy busy, getting eliminated. That was a tough call to make. You don't want to, you know, it's this weird trade-off between trading, you know, keeping the enemy busy and saying, well, you know, I need to coordinate as my team. All right, looks like the Bisons wiped out one of the Oregon players. Evan having a nice move from Evan Chang, Aquamarine there. Looks like he was targeted. We can see here, like, again, one big strategy is oh, excuse me, folks. One good strategy is, you know, getting those like high vantage points and doing damage. But the challenge with that is, while the rest of your team is pushing, you've isolated yourself. So it's again, it's like all things. It's this weird trade-off between saying, okay, you're alone, you're by yourself, but you have a good vantage point and you can do damage. But if they target you like they did to Evan, you know, you don't have long to get out of there, especially if you're a damage player. Right now, okay, so Evan is getting targeted. And we see that because he's a damage player. Evan's a damage player and can do some serious damage, but this is looking bad for the Bisons. Looks like Oregon has pushed the Bisons all the way back to their spawn area. Evan now, got yeeted off of the cliff. However, Evan does have a ultimate, so it'll be interesting to see what Evan does with his ultimate if the Bisons listen, because this is their chance to break out of the objective. And Evan got yeeted off the cliff again. Looks like, again, Oregon playing this very strategically. Christopher Summick yeeted off the cliff. And they're trapped, and that's game again. Didn't see too many uses of ultimates there. Looks like Christopher Summick pulled it off, but looks like game one is going to go to Oregon Raven Watch. So we're going to go with play of the game here. One of their this is actually an ultimate where you can see them doing damage, totally throwing the Bisons in disarray, scattering them, getting a couple KOs, getting 3 KOs and an assist. There you go. I mean, we just saw there the power of using ultimates can totally throw a monkey wrench into the opposing team's plans here. But that is only game one. We're going to be moving to game two. So game two is hybrid. Step one, capture a point. Step two, turn that point into a payload and escort it to victory. This one's a really cool one because you got one team on offense, one team on defense. They take turns, and it's about who can get the furthest, the fastest. That's the thing. Who can get the furthest, the fastest. So not only is getting to the objectives important, but also how long it takes you to reach each objective. So we're gonna take a quick little break here as we wait for next round. Stay tuned. All right, and we're back with our hybrid game mode. Looks like the LCBI Bisons are going to be on the defense first, which means the Bisons are going to have, I think, 30 seconds to get in there, block the teams, try to stop them from getting the capture point. Now, it's always interesting with the hybrid game modes. Usually, there's a choke point a little in between the attacking team spawn and the objective. And it's always a battle to try either break through that choke point or get that. So the Bisons are defending. The Bisons need to rush there, set up their defenses. Yeah, here we go. We got 34 seconds left, and Bisons are making their way. One of the things that these teams do, this is the objective they're defending. One of the things these teams do is they practice on the maps, which means they study the high points, they study the low points. They say, well, where's a good ambush spot? That's part of what they do for training. So this should be an exciting match. We're going to watch C play games. That's Christopher Summick. Chris is our other damage player. And we're going to see what they can pull off here. So Oregon is coming out of the spawn point. We'll switch to the first person here, just to give you some indication of how quick and how responsive the Bisons have to be. So we see here there's this natural choke point, which is this walkway Bisons are trying to say, hey, poke your head out around this. Let's take a look. Nice. Looks like Christopher Summik got 1 KO so far. Really good job at 77 ultimate, 80, 82. Absolutely, the Bisons are going to want to try and keep Chris alive. Not a bad defensive push from Christopher Summik, but we can see that. I mean, our tank was taken out. We'll switch to Evan. Evan trying to hold the objective, and they're done. So this is a bit of an awkward situation, where by the time Neo Hawk, Peter Haverstock got there, the team was already eliminated. So he was by himself. And he, I think he strategically took himself out, saying, okay, well, I'll wait for my team to respawn. Well, let's go back to C-Play Games. Looks like Oregon has started moving the objective, and they're actually being quite aggressive. They're quite close. But we have Christopher Summik with an ultimate in the chamber. You can see there in the bottom, as soon as he presses Q, he does tech. But the challenge is you saw how quick Chris was taken out. So if Chris wants to use his ultimate, he needs to coordinate with his team so they can keep him alive or keep the pressure off. But here we go. Ooh, that was a bit of a weird call to make from Chris. Had the high ground. The enemy team wasn't looking at him. But here we go. Chris is going to try and... okay, another opportunity to have there. Trying to get into a better spot. Chris doesn't want to be alone for too long. That's what happens. You're alone for too long. The team will target you. They'll hunt you down. He had a few opportunities to use that ultimate. Didn't really get didn't use it. So it's still sitting in the chamber. We have Evan Chang has the ultimate. I believe he's using it now. A great way to clear it. But again, you need to communicate with your team so you have a designated support player that keeps you alive. It doesn't matter if you're using your ultimate or not using your ultimate. Again, this isn't looking good for the Bisons. All 5 Bison players have ultimates. Haven't used an ultimate once this entire match. And looks like Oregon has broken through to the first checkpoint. So Bison's got team wiped. They're now waiting for a respawn. Let's take a look and see what they have going for them. We have Christopher Summik. Now would be a good time to use that ultimate with the entire team in a wide open space. He needs to communicate with his team. And now would be a good time. Now would be okay, no ultimate. Okay. Oh. Looks like Star Trek fan and Skyfire tried to use their ultimates, along with Aquamarine, which is good to hear. But again, you need to coordinate with your team, and that's round 1 complete. So, wasn't a bad defense. Wasn't a bad defense. Bisons did a relatively decent job holding the line. However, let's take a look and see how the Bisons do on offense. So, the Raven Watch team from Oregon made it to scored all 3 points, captured the objective, moved past the first checkpoint and the final checkpoint. That's what they got that 3 means up there. And they did that with 4 minutes and 8 seconds left. All right, and the Bisons are off. So Bisons have to cool their jets in the starting point. They have to wait for the barrier to drop. Right now, Raven Watch is setting up their defense, and Bison's got 25 seconds. So during this time, there's a lot of fun things for the players to interact with in this room. However, this is the time when the Bisons should be communicating with each other, setting up strategies, saying, okay, well, you know what, guys, I'm going to actually try go around this side or that side. So as the Bisons are getting ready to attack, communicating with each other, gates are about to drop. All right. And they're off. Looks like the Bisons are being a bit conservative here, just kind of hanging off in the back. Yeah, they're all kind of clumped there. Again, you see teams. Ooh, you don't want to see that. You want to see that tank up there first. Peter needs to be in the action. You saw there, Peter kind of backed off, let his DPS go up front, and then they took out his DPS, and then he kind of backed off to the side, which is why they said, "Oh, good, the enemy tank is leaving. Well, let's go attack the damaged players." Communication. Again, we see here Peter kind of hanging out in the back. Peter needs to be up at the front. Neohawk needs to be up at the front, because if he's not up at the front, the damage players and the support players cannot absorb that much damage. They need to get in there real quick. All right, looks like Bison's got 1 taken off, 2 taken off. Yikes, I think there was an ult used to thin out the Bison. We got Christopher Summick on his own there again. Chris has a habit of kind of doing his own thing, and Oregon has been taking advantage of that, saying, okay, well, you know, you want to be off on your own? Well, let's take a look and see how well you do. Well, here we have Aquamarine Evan Chang with an ultimate, now being a good time to use the ultimate. Needs to coordinate with his team to keep him alive, and again, didn't get a chance to pull off that ultimate. We got Skyfire, who about to be taken out here. Relatively impressive escape, but at only 8 health, so Skyfire needs to find a place to heal, because they're targeting Skyfire. There you go. You got to keep an eye on your health. Took out our other support, took out our damage. Okay, so Bison's currently sitting on 4 ults. 4 ults. Taken out. Alright, and here we have Evan Chang. Now again, you might look and be like, well, you know, you don't want to waste that, but again, it pushes them back. At a certain point, you need to take that risk. And there was a ult used by Evan Chang. Again, good. It did its job. It went and messed up their defense strategy. However, the team needs to take advantage of that. Star Trek fan taken out with an ult in the chamber. Skyfire, Randy Anderson took it out with an ult in the chamber. We have now Neohawk has their ult, needs to utilize that quick. They have 38 seconds before the end of the round. So they have a lot of... there we go. This is the time to use the ult. This is the time, because I said, what are you saving it for? It's the last 21 seconds. Looks like that was an entire Bison team wipe. And that's game. All right, so game 2 goes to Oregon. Wasn't too bad. We saw some good plays from the Bisons. Again, utilizing their ults when necessary, or when I don't know, possible. Here we go, play the game. Again, using an ult, and we just see how devastating those can be. And those opportunities don't always present themselves, but it's kind of like, well, you know, you got to try and put yourself in the position of saying, you know, if you know, not only one that you're going to have an ult right away, you got to get yourself in position to utilize that ult, but also when you're attacking, looking and saying, okay, well, it's been 4 or 5 minutes in game. Odds are the enemy team have ults in the chambers. you got to be able to say, all right, well, I'm going to make sure I'm not clumping together, because all it takes is one big ult, like we saw there, and that's all it takes to rack up a team wipe. But looks like Bisons are doing some roster changes, swapping out some players. If the Bisons lose this next round, that will be it for tonight's game. So this next one is Escort. So one team pushes a payload through checkpoints, the other tries to stop them in their tracks. So hang tight, folks. Hang tight. We got at least one more game for you this evening, and we'll kick things off right away. So stay tuned. All right, and we're back. So, again, like the last game mode, we're going to have an opposing team and a defensive team. First game mode, I imagine Oregon is going to be attacking first. So they're going to be trying to get their objective pushed into enemy territory. All right, and we're off. Okay, so yes, looks like the Bisons are going to be defense. Looks like we have a bit of a change to our roles. We have Christopher Summick as our tank. And Chris is charging right up along. You can see there that blue line on the objective. That's just to give the players an indication of where they need to go.
My heart is strong, and my javelin is sharp.
All right, so Bison's setting up their defensive point. Looks like they're going to let them get to the objective, but they've set up their choke point. We have Junkrat kind of on their own here. This is Neohawk Peter, and Peter trying to get the jump on the enemy with their attack. Again, just causing havoc. That's kind of where Junkrat goes. Just causes havoc, makes the opposing team kind of like lose their cool. Bison slowly getting pushed back. We got Christopher Summit doing his best in the front to keep them, but Oregon having a very well coordinated attack. All right, we got Aquamarine as Widow, Widowmaker. Again, sniper. Think long shots. Oh. All right, Evan got one opposing team. Now again, this character is very, very difficult to play with because you see how much damage you can do where you take out a player. So this, whenever you see a Widowmaker on the field, they tend to get targeted. So, but doing a good job staying alive and just again making the other team panic. However, they are moving their objective up closer. Evan doing his best to talk. Ooh. And you see there Evan getting targeted and having to leave. Now this can be good and bad because what Evan's doing right now is they're leading the enemy team away, saying, okay, well, how bad do you want to take me out? Because like we could go run around, you could chase me all day. Well, that's not the objective. The objective is to push that objective forward. Evan doing a good job, just trying to squeeze damage. And although Evan might not be making every shot, it is good to do that because what you're doing is you're reminding those the enemy team, hey, there's a Widowmaker there, and all it takes is one lucky shot, and you're in trouble. All right, Evan kind of standing in the open there a little bit too much and paying the price. But looks like the Bisons just took out the enemy tank and stopped them just short of this second objective. So we got Neohawk doing doing some splash damage, and Bisons look like they're on the enemy's objective. If the enemy doesn't cap it right away, that objective will slowly start rolling back. Right now it's showing as contested. Both teams are in proper proximity of the objective. So Bison doing a pretty good job holding here at this line. Let's see if they have what it takes to stop. They'd have to hold them another 5 minutes in order for the game or this round to be over. All right, and Neohawk has ult. And here we go. This one there took out one of their characters. Bison's getting taken out. We got Star Trek fan holding on to an ult. Let's see how they utilize that. They are pushing the objective to the finish line. So this is the do or die moments. This is when you'd have to go and use all assets at your disposal. Let's see what Star Trek fan can pull off with their one ult. And looks like that's round one. So, the Oregon Ravenwatch got 3 points with 3 minutes and 59 seconds remaining. So that's the goal the Bisons are going to have to beat. So now it's time for the Bisons to go on the offensive. And every time they reach a checkpoint, that time gets increased. All right, all teams are choosing their players. And here we go. All right, Bisons are on the offensive this time. We're going to take a look and see what they can pull off and where the Ravenwatch from Oregon set up their defenses. Again, it's all about choke points. Line of sight, And also, there might be ways around. However, those ways around, if you try to utilize those ways around, people can get the jump on you, or you could be separated from your team. So again, it is this delicate balance of in the moment deciding what they want to do. All right, so it looks like the Oregon is right at the spawn. Not a great scenario, but let's see how the Bisons handle that. All right, looks like that may have been a little bit of a taunt, a little bit of a misdirection. Bison's coming out swinging. Chris leading the charge and moving that objective. So the Bison's. All right, not a bad ambush from Oregon. However, did not have the total desired effect. We got Aquamarine here in turret mode, laying down some damage, getting supported from the support players. All right, so Star Trek fan currently playing as a support healer, dropping that healing orb, getting some assists on some KOs. Again, laying down the damage, trying to push this payload up. Again, they got to try and beat it with 3 minutes and 59 seconds remaining. If they can do that, Bisons will have a great advantage in the next round. Okay, so Bisons look like they're a couple kills short of a team wipe. However, they have control of the objective, and they're pushing it forward. Time is of the essence, so you have to keep that objective moving. The entire team is taken out. Now is the time to take advantage of that and close some of that distance to the next objective. Increase that time you have. Bison's doing a great job of keeping the objective moving. And we have here the Raven Watch from Oregon attacking. All right, Bison's getting to the first checkpoint, which means they get some added time. Star Trek fan doing a not too bad job keeping C-Play Games, Christopher Summick alive. Has to keep that up because, again, if you're not healing, looks like Star Trek fan taken out. They have a little bit of a ambush going on here, where you lose one healer, and with Star Trek fan being one of our oldest, most seasoned players of the Bisons, taking him off the board, not great. But we have Skyfire having an ult, sitting in the chamber. We have Star Trek fan having an ult. Evan Shang having an ult. And this actually would be not too bad, just because due to the fact that they're so close together. Here we go. Evan laying down the law. Finally getting support from his teammates, keeping him healed up. So this is doing great. All right. Bison's doing a good job communicating. Evan getting the support from his support players, pushing up. And looks like, that was a successful offense from the Bisons. Doing a good job. Now again, it's just all about using this ult. They have the team all clumped up together. Now's the time to do it. Yikes. Okay, so it looks like the Bison's got an alt use against them, which resulted in essentially a team wipe from the Bison. So Bisons are spawning up here quickly and getting out there. So this is where, again, they're going to have to use communication with each other, saying, hey, I got an ult. Buy me some time. Buy me some time. I'm going to use this ult. And if the whole team's up on the plan, great. Bison still have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to get the payload to the next objective. goes Evan Chang. Couple Bisons taken out. We got Christopher Summick with an ult. And then this is a challenge here. At that point, you have, you know, do you use an ult? Because if you use your ult, who's there to take advantage of it? So Bison's now all respawning. We gotta see if the Bisons wait for their team to catch up. You don't want to push too far, because then you're looking at a 3-on-5. Yeah. Everyone's up in the balcony above, setting up a potentially a little bunker. A bit of a distraction scenario for the Bisons. Bison's now pushing forward towards the payload with 1 minute 6 seconds left, and let's see what they can pull off here. Alright, so it looks like we got used another ult, which took out another few players, giving them the open to team wipe. Remember guys, ults get used depending on how much damage you do to the other team. The more you do, the more you play, the more damage you rack up, the faster you get ults. So it's kind of a way to reward skilled players. The more you do, the faster you build ults. The faster you build ults, the more you do. It goes like the vice versa. So Bison's having 22 seconds to get the objective. Pushing up the staircase here. Yeah, now's the time to use the ult. It's very good use of an ult. Looks like Neohawk has an ult now or never. Yeah, it looks like it's never. Oh, there we go. Getting in there and gets the KO. We're in overtime. The Bisons need to maintain control to the next objective. Doing not too bad here. It's not over yet. Once they get to the objective, they get timer added and they get time added. So Bisons get minute 30 added to their time. We're down to 1:23. And the Bisons are pushing, keeping the game going alive. They got to get it to the finish line. Ooh, and Bisons are getting sniped out one by one, which is a strategy we see. It's a strategy we see. And use of the ult by Aquamarine, Evan Chang. Not too bad. And again, you might say, well, that didn't like take out the entire team. Well, it forced the team back, and we can see here now, because it pushed the team back, the Bisons are able to progress with the objective. So again, it's you know, a successful ult doesn't always have to result in a team wipe, but it can result in, oh, and there's another ult being used, and it weakens the Bisons, and the opposing team takes advantage of that. Definitely potential play of the game there. But again, using an ult, coordinating with your team. Alright, so Bisons are going. They got 19 seconds. We've seen stranger things happen. Let's see if the Bisons can get to the objective, trigger that overtime, and get their payload to the objective. So again, a lot of coordination between players needed. It is contested. We're about to get into overtime here. Bisons have to win this firefight to stand a chance. Gotta get this. Bison's pushing that objective slowly but surely. You just see the pandemonium here, like the roles of the support, which is weird. So for support players, you know, it's this weird habit between healing your opponent or healing your allies while dodging your opponents. So it looks like that's a defeat of Game 3. Bisons getting their first regular season loss, but we have play of the game here. Let's take a look. Let's take a look and see what play of the game is. Yeah, again, you're seeing them after you use the ult, weakening the entire team and getting in there. So that was tonight's matchup. Bison's now 1-1. We'll have to take a look and see what that does to the standings after tonight's games from the other members in the league. I think we definitely saw some progress there near the end of the game. Again, with using those ultimates. Remember, the more damage you do, the more times you do your job, the game rewards you with faster ults, right? So we saw there with Aquamarine when he was playing as Widow. Every time he landed a shot, well, you saw his ultimate shoot up, right? So again, it's rewarding players for doing their job, and the more you do that, the more ults you get. So not bad. I mean, again, we knew this was going to be a rough game. We shot up to the 4th best team in the league after last week's match, just due to the fact that they forfeited. So we knew it was going to be a tough match. But overall, you know what? The Bisons had some great lessons learned tonight. The coaching staff is going to have some footage to review, and the Bisons are going to hit the ground running for the rest of the week until Monday's next match. So anyway, my name's Andy Prokopchuk. Pleasure being here with you tonight. God bless. Go Bisons, and we'll see you guys next week for some more esports action.